The Atomic Adventure Race, presented by Fuji Bikes, returns to Amicalola Falls State Park in North Georgia for its second year. 60 teams will toe the line this year in what will be a fierce competition to the finish. Teams will compete against each other for up to 30 hours in motion, covering 110 miles of North Georgia terrain, biking, trekking, running, paddling, ascending and rappelling on ropes, using only a map and compass and their wits to get them through a course fraught with challenges. Team members will have to rely on one another and their own willpower to overcome a course that only saw 1/3 of the field finish last year. The 2010 course starts a lot like it did last year, but that's where the commonality between the two ends. The competitors will run a prologue to get a secondary instruction sheet that they'll carry with them throughout the course. This instruction sheet is a side challenge that competitors may partake of during the race, in keeping with our leave no trace ethics. After the prologue, team members will take to the trails, working their way up to the top of Amicalola Falls. This year they're going to be on the west side of the park, working their way up to the last flight of stairs. Some competitors from last year may remember this set of stairs. It was the final leg of their plight to the finish. Team members will work their way up on foot until they get to the top of the falls, where their bikes have been staged. From here on, they'll be navigating a course of up to 40 miles on bike. Their first destination, Frosty Mountain. Frosty Mountain represents an almost 2,000-foot gain in altitude since the beginning of the race, and a descent of about the same on the way down to Nibblewell Church. CP3 on top of Frosty Mountain will be a point of intersection for the racers with the Appalachian Approach Trail. This path is commonly used by hikers as the start of their epic journey along the Appalachian Trail. From there, racers will descend along the gnarly Jeep Trail to Nibblewell Gap. Turning at Nibblewell Gap, racers will fly down a windy Nibblewell Gap road, losing in one fell swoop all the altitude they gained in the race thus far. Diligent racers will notice the turnoff to the left that will take them to checkpoint 4 at Bearden Falls. Bearden Falls is one of the best kept secrets of the race course, a backwoods cascading waterfall whose total height is roughly 150 feet. As racers make their way up to the falls, there are several viewpoints from which it may be completely seen. As racers get closer, they'll have to claw their way up to the checkpoint, which is at the midpoint of the falls. After CP3 at Frosty Mountain, this will be the second out and back checkpoint, where racers will be able to ascertain their position behind the lead, or gauge the lead that they themselves have put on the competition. As they scramble to make way back to Nibblewell Gap Road, racers can say goodbye to this region as they head towards the Bull Mountain section of the course. The Bull Mountain section of the race is what we call a grab bag. Racers must get 4 out of the 5 checkpoints in the area. They won't get any bonus for getting 5 checkpoints, but they will be penalized for getting less than 4. The key is knowing which one to skip. Further, teams can get the checkpoints they choose in any order. Some teams will be hard-pressed to get all of the checkpoints, as they'll be looking ahead to the canoe put-in cutoff. Teams are going to have to make a hard decision out there, as missing the cutoff can be a race-ending scenario. Teams will be eyeballing their watches throughout this section of the course in order to determine how many checkpoints, if any at all, they can get in this section. The Bull Mountain section will separate the mountain bikers from everybody else, as this trail system is known for its single track and its ability to prove or disprove a mountain biker's technical skills. After 15 miles of arduous biking to get to this point, riders who can use finesse to get around root and rock will be able to put distance on those who break down and have to walk their bike. The difference of speeds between the riders who can and cannot complete this section in the saddle will be a deciding factor for who comes out on top in the overall race. Let's talk strategy for this section. For those clearing this section of 4 out of 5 checkpoints, we expect the most commonly skipped points to be either CP7 or CP8. The classic decision of whether to take the short but steep route or the long but flat route will divide teams. Further dividing teams is that they can reach any and all of these checkpoints in whatever order they choose. Since the Bull Mountain area is known for its cobweb of horseback riding, hiking, and mountain biking trails, there are many approaches to all of these checkpoints, and while the checkpoints are close to the trails, navigation will become a factor here. After departing the Bull Mountain section of the course, teams' minds will be focused on making the cutoff at the canoe put-in. Before they get there, they'll have to make it to checkpoint 12, where they'll be redirected along a less than ideal route to get to checkpoint 13, which is the canoe put-in. The canoe put-in's cutoff is 4:30. Teams will have been on the bike for roughly 9 hours at this point. Teams that have completed the Bull Mountain section will have ridden a total of 40 miles. This enormous mountain biking section will break all but the hardiest of adventure racers. For the rest of the field, they'll be praying for a chance to get out of the saddle and into the canoe. Some teams may fail to realize, however, that this canoe leg is certainly no walk in the park. It's 27 miles of river paddling,